watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
It is 4 o'clock on your Monday afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Fox 35 News Plus. We will start our hour here with you, looking live at the Hard Rock Hotel, or from the Hard Rock Hotel in Daytona Beach, where it is a sunny afternoon. Much similar stories. We take a look in downtown Orlando, and as we bring you into our studios here in Lake Mary, Manny Martinez here with you, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Garrett has the week off, so you're stuck with me for at least 4 of these days. We're off to a pretty good start today, and we have a good hour coming your way for you. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we are monitoring that is happening right now is the new UCF Police Department Chief being sworn in. That is Griffin Kitsero. That is live as we speak. We will go to her in a moment. But before we do that, we have our top 4 at 4. And so joining us, I should say, is Marlisa Goldsmith. Marlisa, how are you?
I'm doing good, Manny. Good for Monday. How about yourself?
I'd say the same. You know what? I was down at the end of the last week with a little bit of a cold.
I heard.
Had a fever. Too.
I
Feel better now. Feel better now, but let's get right into it, okay? So let me put up some of the video that we have here. Nice fancy graphic that our producer made. It's our top 4 at 4, Marlisa. And the first story that you have, as I forgot to turn your mic on there.
It's all right, we're rocking with it.
You know, it's day one. It's got a learning curve. All right, so Marlisa, the first story that we have for you that you're going to be talking about is the president. President Trump is going to be coming to Florida tomorrow.
Yeah, big news coming out of a press conference from Governor Ron DeSantis earlier today, Manny. The news is that President Donald Trump is headed here to the Sunshine State for the big official opening of what's been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. It's the immigration detention camp in the Everglades. And again, that announcement was made in the press conference today from Governor Ron DeSantis. So the governor authorized the construction of an illegal immigrant detention center on a 30 square mile property here in the Everglades swamplands of Miami-Dade County under an emergency order. You're taking a look at what that facility looks like right now. This is kind of an aerial view of it. And now, if you've ever wondered, how in the world did he come up with this name? Pretty simple. It's because it's in the heart of the Everglades, which is home to massive reptiles such as alligators and pythons in that area. And the property is a former airport that's kind of been outfitted with tent structures to house about 5,000 illegal immigrants amid the Trump administration's deportation blitz to kind of remove the millions of illegal migrants who have flooded the Sunshine State here in Florida. And it's something that the governor has really gotten behind, Manny.
Overseeing and then reimbursing us for the cost. But, we're looking at, okay, where could you do it that's not going to disturb the community, not going to create problems? And, there just happens to be this Dade Collier Airport that's out there kind of in the middle of the Everglade area. And it's not defunct. People say there are training flights that go in there, but it's a massive runway. And, there's not a lot of buildings out there, but there's a lot of concrete. And so these guys set up this whole thing within a matter of days. And so when the president comes tomorrow, he's going to be able to see, you're going to be able to do. What'll happen is you bring people in there. They ain't going anywhere once they're there unless you want them to go somewhere, because good luck getting to civilization. So the security is amazing. But natural and otherwise.
So, Marlisa, it happened quickly. They put it together very quickly.
Very quickly. I mean, they said it would be a matter of weeks, and we figured, okay, how long are we talking? Last week when he announced on Tuesday, I think everyone was surprised to hear how quickly this was going to happen. And the governor actually made an appearance on Fox News last week, and that's when we heard that he mentioned Tuesday, kind of threw that date around, and he extended an open invitation to the president. And I don't know how many people took that seriously, but I mean, the president is coming. So we'll have to see how that visit goes tomorrow.
Yeah, and we actually have some reaction here to the announcement from
Tomorrow,
the White House press
President
secretary.
Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center located at Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron and other state and local leaders. We hope to see many of you there. The facility is in the heart of the Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz. There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain.
So the idea here, I'm playing a video that I shouldn't be playing. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
To leave this land as it be.
It's not good for the water. It's not good for the wildlife and the habitats. Why is it here?
Well, that was the protesters who
Yeah.
were out on Saturday along a road in disagreement.
Very interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. Do you have any word on if they're going to be out there tomorrow?
Again tomorrow, I would hazard to say that I think would be a fairly safe bet, and then we'll see what kind of response they do get. Now, happening right now in Washington is a Vote-A-Rama for President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Now,
Yes.
Vote-A-Rama is quite the interesting term, isn't it?
It is a very interesting term, to put it put it nicely there, Manny. So the Senate advanced the president's bill. You all know it's been called the Big Beautiful Bill, budget bill of tax breaks and Medicaid cuts. This happened overnight after hours of standstill and negotiations with holdout Republican senators. You're looking at the president right there taking a look at that. Now, the budget bill is just one step closer to passage after it cleared a key procedural hurdle overnight. This vote passed 51-49 with two Republicans, that's Senators Tom Tillis and Rand Paul, joining all 47 Democrats to vote against this bill. Vice President J.D. Vance was on standby in case there was a need to break a 50-50 tie. Now, the legislation would make permanent a lot of the tax breaks from President Trump's first term and add an estimated $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit from 2025 to 2034 and nearly $1 trillion more more than the version passed by the House.
We have before us today a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver legislation to create a safer, stronger, and more prosperous America.
If Senate Republicans won't tell the American people what's in this bill, then Democrats are going to force this chamber to read it from start to finish.
And so here, Marlisa, what I put on screen now is a live look in Washington as senators keep talking through this Vote-A-Rama.
Yeah, we're talking 940 pages of a bill, so that is
And we know that yesterday they read all through it, all through the night from Saturday into Sunday afternoon. It was hours long.
Yeah, 16 hours to be exact, Manny. That's a whole lot of reading.
And Marlisa, the third story that we are going to be talking about is quite the shocker for people who were on a Disney cruise.
Of all cruises, I know this is I won't call it a tragedy because it
thankfully was not.
Good ending. Thank goodness. There was a father and daughter who were rescued after going overboard on a Disney cruise. There was a family on board the Disney Dream Cruise over the weekend when a young girl fell overboard and her dad allegedly jumped in after her. Now, reportedly, this was a 50 to 60 foot drop into the water.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. And you're looking at video right here of the Disney Cruise Line's rescue team that had to jump into immediate action. In this video, you can see it was posted on social media showing the rescue with teams in those yellow boats searching the water, looking for the father and daughter there. Thankfully, both of these passengers were rescued after going overboard. And the Disney Cruise Line, they issued a statement. I want to read part of this. They said the crew aboard the Disney Dream swiftly rescued two guests from the water. We commend our crew members for their exceptional skills and prompt actions, which ensured the safe return of both guests to the ship within minutes. We are committed to the safety and well-being of our guests, and this incident highlights the effectiveness of our safety protocols, Manny.
Well, we saw the rescue mission. They were very efficient. I mean, we saw them pull the dad and child out of the water within a couple of minutes on a rescue boat and bring them back to the ship.
We noticed the ship turned around actually, and then the rescue boats were in. It was moments. I mean, it was so fast. And they made the announcement overhead not more than 10 minutes after maybe the whole thing started that they had rescued them. So the ship was amazing how fast they moved into action.
On the speaker, they just told us everything was okay, and they didn't tell us much information, truthfully. But what we saw from our balconies was the rescue mission of them taking the 2 people, putting them on the rescue boat, oxygen masks, and back on the Disney Dream.
The ship went right back into, where they left off, and it's as if, they didn't want any of the guests to worry or to ruin their vacation. So just a huge sigh of relief. It could have been a lot worse.
Huge sigh of relief is right. It definitely could have been a lot worse, Marlisa, and we're glad that it was daytime while this was happening. And could you imagine if they're out there at night, just how much more difficult that complicates a rescue?
It makes a huge difference. And also I want to note that there are still plenty of answers to questions that we have regarding how this in fact happened, the age of that young girl. Still waiting to learn more from officials.
And we are going to be hearing from Fox 35's Esther Bauer, because she's on this story for the Fox 35 News at 5, which you will be anchoring today. And we have her, before she's on the 5, on Fox 35 News Plus. So we'll get the scoop here. And she won't give us the full story.
Of course.
Because, she won't give us the full story. But she'll hopefully answer some of those questions that you have. And she's been on this all day. I know she's spoken via Zoom as well with, some of the people who were witnesses to this.
Good.
Now, this 4th story, Marlisa, I think it falls under the category of unbelievable.
Unbelievable. An unbelievable Florida story. Yeah, this was very interesting. So here's the deal. There was a man who was hospitalized with severe injuries after an Orlando woman allegedly intentionally struck him with her truck along I-75, an exit ramp to Morris Bridge Road, according to the Florida Highway Patrol. So this woman left the scene on foot before she was later arrested. It was 20-year-old Armani Bellamy. She's been charged with attempted murder after witnesses told troopers that she began ramming her Ford 250 pickup truck into this Dodge Challenger that the victim was driving in. And that's when the victim attempted to run away, but Bellamy chased the driver in her truck. A witness allegedly told FHP troopers that she chased him off the road and up to the tree line there. According to an FHP report, a witness said the victim was partially under the truck in distress there. So you can only imagine how stressful this intense the situation was. And then a bystander reportedly rendered aid to the victim before first responders were able to arrive, and then took the driver of that Challenger to the hospital.
Why? That's the only thing I can come up with. And that's still something that we are still waiting to get from investigators.
We're still working to get answers from troopers on why this happened, if the person was impaired, if they knew each other. There are still plenty of details that we're waiting for FHP to reveal.
All right, Marlisa Goldsmith with our top 4 at 4. Thank you very much. And everyone at home, we'll see you in just about 48 minutes for Fox 35 News at 5. Marlisa, thank you.
Thanks,
and we'll
Manny.
see you in a bit. See you tomorrow.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
I haven't seen the schedule yet, Manny.
Look, I'm thinking ahead. I'm planning.
You are.
All right. So we will be back with some more Fox 35 News Plus after this short break.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local and on YouTube. Thank you for joining us here on this Monday afternoon. Let's go ahead and head outside. Let's take a live look at downtown Orlando. You'll see that it is sunny now, and so we will bring in Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer. TJ, you are here to tell us that this sunny weather that we're seeing, we should be thankful for.
I know. I feel like we don't have a lot of opportunities for sun this week, Manny. It's been so gray and gloomy already.
It has.
The weekend was that way. I feel like it's going to be one of those days where you certainly need the umbrella. We've seen hit or miss showers and thunderstorms, and Fox 35 Storm Tracker radar showing some showers across some of Volusia County right now, Flagler County, and some more out to the west as well. But we are getting some of that sunshine to peek through. We still have an area of low pressure upstairs in the atmosphere, still circulating. You can see all the rain across the south into the Gulf right now, and that's going to be a driver in our unsettled pattern that we've continued to see. That, as well as the daily sea breeze front, that interaction between the two going to make for this somewhat stormy and wet stretch as we get closer and closer to our July 4th. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's looking like we're going to have this rain around as we head through our July 3rd and our July 4th and right into our holiday weekend. Now, as we continue to look outside, as Manny was just hitting on, it doesn't look too shabby in downtown Orlando. We're getting a little bit of sunshine to peek through, but it still looks gray. It still looks a little gloomy as we have had these showers and thunderstorms dancing across central Florida. Now, the other concern has been the tropics. We had Tropical Storm Barry, and that is now a thing of the past. That was moving into Mexico this morning, and now we have an area of interest that is across the Gulf and the southeast coast in the western Atlantic. Between here and both of our coasts, we could see at least the potential for maybe a depression to form as we progress through the next 7 days. Only a 20% chance of formation. It's thanks to this upper level energy. We have a boundary that is going to be stalling across the region as well. So between that, we could see an area of low pressure at the surface form, driving more heavy rain, more tropical rain, and the potential for maybe a subtropical low or a tropical area of low pressure to develop as we head through our holiday weekend, potentially into early next week. But again, chances are minimal. You can see from this data here, only putting it around a 20 to 30% chance or so. This was a little bit higher yesterday. Looking at some of the data this afternoon, we've tried to see an area of low pressure forming, but it doesn't look all that strong at all pressure-wise. So that's a good thing, but still something we'll have to monitor as we head through July 4th and as we head through our holiday weekend, as many of you may be heading back to work after an extended weekend because of the holiday. So that heavy rain may be impacting you in that way. So that's something we'll continue to watch as we head through the next week or so. Now, over the next few days, we're going to have these daily shower and storm chances, but we are in the rainy season, so that's somewhat typical. But we also have the upper level energy as well as the sea breeze driving higher rain chances. Now, as we head through the latter half of the week, really midweek onward into July 4th, into Saturday and Sunday, that's when we're going to be seeing that boundary stalling, and we could be seeing that area of low pressure form, either a new one as we have this trough digging across the southeast. Between that and what is left over in the Gulf, we might be seeing a new area of low pressure trying to form somewhere in the vicinity of that front. So expect, as we head through Wednesday, through our Thursday, more widespread rain, not just in the afternoons, but more of a day-long sort of event, if you will. More rain throughout the day as a whole versus just the afternoon and the evening. If a tropical depression were to form, it would likely be this weekend. So that's what we're going to be watching. We've already had Andrea, we've already had Barry. We're not thinking this is going to take a C name from us, but the next name is going to be Chantal, so we'll have to watch. Thankfully, we've also had a lot of dust. We've had a lot of dust in the Atlantic. We've had cooler than normal water temperatures too, so things continue to look quiet across the Atlantic Basin, which is good news. Now, temperatures, because of the clouds and the moisture, not all that warm, only in the low to mid 80s across Orlando. DeLand is 84 in Cocoa Beach. We have 85 right now in Bushnell. As we progress into tonight, we are expecting temperatures to stay somewhat seasonable for this time of the year, dipping back into the low to middle 70s Some spots a little warmer than others. Lingering showers and thunderstorms, they'll fade away as we head deeper into the overnight. Then tomorrow, doing it all over again. Highs pretty much par for the course for this time of the summer, right around 90. Even a little cooler off to the northwest. Spots like Gainesville and our Fox 51 locales only getting into the middle 80s. Hard to believe we're talking about July starting already. It feels like the summer is already going by quickly. Now, as we time things out on our Fox weather model, we're going to continue to see that potential for the rain developing each and every afternoon. We see this through dinner time tonight. Some hit or miss showers and thunderstorms still around. They'll fade away into the wee hours of our Tuesday, but then watch what happens as we head closer to lunchtime tomorrow into the evening drive. We're seeing some showers and thunderstorms igniting with the help of the sea breeze collision, and a couple of those could be on the stronger side with maybe some light frequent lightning, torrential rain, maybe some gusty wind we'll have to watch out for as well. But these shower and storm chances don't end. In fact, they rise as we head toward our Thursday, our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So overall, an unsettled stretch as we get closer to Independence Day, which could impact some of our events around the area, which is something you'll have to monitor as well. If you're hitting the theme parks, definitely plan on bringing the ponchos, because that's something that we'll have to deal with day in and day out, at least throughout the next 7 days or so. Notice the heavy rain as we head through this upcoming week. Totals could be somewhere around the neighborhood of maybe 5 inches. You can see those shades of red and pink or purple off the Gulf Coast. Most of us could see under that, but there's still going to be some isolated spots that pick up close to 5 inches of rain or so as we head through the next 7 days. So it's certainly active. 80% chances for rain Wednesday, Thursday, into July 4th, and then 70% chances for rain Saturday and Sunday. So overall, wet, unsettled. Manny, not what we want to have, sadly, for any holiday week, but it looks like that's what Mother Nature's given us here as we get closer to July 4th.
No, not at all what we want to have. But TJ, it seems like, it's our typical Florida summer pattern.
I know. I feel like we kind of got spoiled last week. It was drier. It didn't have a lot of rain with that ridge of high pressure, but now we're back to the whole grind, so to speak, here in Florida in the summer with rain each and every day.
Yeah, you got plans for the 4th?
So right now, I know I'm working on Friday, but on Thursday, if the weather can hold, we were thinking about seeing the fireworks down in Baldwin Park. So that's on the docket right now. So we'll have to see if that will happen or not. But I can only imagine a lot of people are going to be hitting the theme parks and seeing their fireworks spectaculars as well.
And you know what, TJ, you bring up a good point when it comes to a fireworks forecast, because you have to do both the 3rd and the 4th. So do you think the 3rd, Thursday, is that any chance that that's a little better?
It's funny. I feel like once we hit midweek into Thursday, into July 4th, the rain chances are higher. It looks like we're going to have some upper level energy around. That's really that time frame that we'll be watching, because that could be when we start to see that area of low pressure develop that could become tropical in nature. Either way, if it does become a depression or not, it looks like heavy rain, and that may sadly impact fireworks all of these days. I know a lot of events are happening on Thursday, obviously a ton on Friday, and probably even this weekend maybe. So hopefully some of those will get off without a hitch, but it could be a little dicey.
All right, TJ Springer, thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We will keep charging on with our hour right after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
We are back with more Fox 35 News Plus on this Monday. Thank you for sticking with us as we just about reach 4:30. We're 34 minutes to the Fox 35 News at 5. Manny Martinez here with you for the majority of the week. Garrett Weimer is enjoying some time off, and so we'll charge on into our next story, and that is a big story for the University of Central Florida, which today just swore in its newest chief of the police department, and that is Robin Griffin Kitzrow. That happening just within the past half an hour or so. You saw a bit of the ceremony at the top of our newscast. So she has served with the UCF Police Department as the deputy chief since 2022, someone familiar with the school, familiar with the force, and she has more than 3 decades of experience in law enforcement, and she spoke with us before the ceremony. Here is some of what she had to say.
Today you get sworn in as the new chief of UCF PD.
I do.
How exciting is that for you?
So exciting. We have such a great agency, and truly, I have to give props to all those who came before me, because I truly believe that our agency is just a premier law enforcement agency in the United States of America. Having worked at FAU prior to here, I can tell you that, and in the state university systems, I can tell you that UCF is a premier law enforcement agency.
Now, you're in charge of how many officers on this campus? I mean, how many officers are we talking?
So we have 82 sworn police officers and about 135 total personnel in public safety. And certainly, all the support staff and whatnot inside the police department. We have victim services, and we have safety and security, and we have emergency management, all under the public safety umbrella.
Your department is bigger than some towns, and you have to talk about how hard it is to be a police chief on a college campus that's the size of a town.
Sure. So we have roughly 70,000 students and about 13,000 faculty and staff. And they commute in and out of our campus every single day. We have activities. It's kind of like a beehive of activity all the time. And so we have all of the same challenges that you would have in a town. However, we have the capability of kind of ensuring that our population is safe in various ways. We have license plate readers and at every entrance and exit point, and in our garages. We have great partnerships with all of our different entities within the university, so that if a student, let's say, gets in trouble for a minor offense, we can refer them to the dean's office in lieu of a long-term criminal consequence. So we definitely have ownership of this space, and I can tell you with great certainty that if folks come here with the intent to commit nefarious activities, that would be a poor decision, because we pay very close attention of all who enter and everything people do when it's not the right thing to do. So we make it a priority to make sure that our campus community stays safe.
So that was the University of Central Florida Police Department Chief, the new chief, Robin Griffin Kitzrow, just within the past hour that she spoke with us, within the past half hour that she has been sworn in. We are also monitoring what is happening in Capitol Hill. We will be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus as senators go over the big, beautiful bill. But coming up next, we will speak with reporter Marie Ettinger. She's talking about the state budget.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Manny Martinez here with you up until 5 o'clock as we lead you into Fox 35 News at 5. Up next, what we're talking about is the governor in our area today, and he signed the state budget, perhaps a little later than what he expected. In fact, not perhaps, it was later than he expected, by a month and a half, almost 2. Today was the last day he could have possibly done it. It takes effect tonight at midnight. It's a $115 billion budget. That's $3 billion less than the current year. And the governor went through with line item vetoes of a little more than $500 million worth. All right, so we are going to bring in our reporter that is working on our state budget story. That is Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. And Marie, you wanted to focus on the education aspect of this budget.
Yeah, I'd done a story a couple of weeks ago checking in with school districts when the budget was first approved, but before it was signed into law by the governor. And one of the things that a lot of school districts were dealing with was they did not actually know how much money they were going to get. That was because the money that was allocated to public schools wasn't divided up in the budget as it was initially written between public schools, like within the public school system, versus charter schools, which have public access but are not within the public school districts. So because it was this chunk of money and we didn't know how it was going to get divided, school districts didn't know exactly how they needed to react. And so they were getting kind of into crunch time. That's why I wanted to check back in on things today. And it turns out this is going to be kind of even worse than some of these school districts were initially thinking. They were expecting that it was not going to be much of an increase over last year, and that increase was going to be so small that it would technically result in them getting less money when you factor in inflation. That turned out to be even more of a hit than some school districts were expecting. A lot more money wound up going to charter school programs and to vouchers that allow kids to go to private schools and to homeschool funding or funding for those programs. And then less went to public school education. So we've already been checking in for quite some time with different school districts, how they're going to be reacting. A lot of them have pretty major deficits. We know that in Marion County Public School District, for instance, they are saying that they're not going to fill vacant seats that they have, or excuse me, vacant positions, as in they're not going to be hiring. And they're going to be increasing class sizes to try to fill some of that gap so they don't have to hire quite as many people. Lake County is doing some similar things. Orange County Public Schools says they're trying to make 2% cuts to basically anything they can. So all different programs across the board and all different directives. So different school districts are reacting differently. A few of them, Orange County in particular, reacted really negatively. They were pretty hurt by this news.
And you mentioned Orange County. I did a story speaking with the school district spokesperson probably 2 months ago now, and I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you? And that was then, he said a 9. And that number, when I first did the interview, it kind of caught me off guard, Marie.
Yeah, I listened into a school district meeting that happened last week. I include some of it in my story just to give some context. And the way the school board and the superintendent were speaking about this was just heartbreaking. They just seemed terrified and disheartened. One of the things that you'll see at 5:30 is the mention from the superintendent that everyone on that board is all for school choice. They just don't want it to come at the expense of public schools. They don't want public school funding to get cut in order to pay for charter schools. And that's exactly what's happening. There's this other program called Hope that allows charter schools to make use of public school facilities that they're not using. And what it comes down to is the public schools, which have declining enrollment, are giving up these, say, a room or maybe a portable to a charter school. The public school has to pay to maintain that facility. The charter school gets to use it for free. The charter school is the one making more money. The public school is making less, but the public school is kind of having to eat that cost. So there are just all these other details in addition to just overall having less funding that I think are scaring some people within the public school system. That being said, there are plenty of people who are overjoyed about this. I did try to reach out to a few representatives for charter schools today. I didn't get a hold of them in time to include them in this story, which I'm a little bit regretful of, because you do hear a lot about the cuts to public schools. I have not personally done as much reporting as I would like, telling the other side of that, of how excited charter schools are, people within that system are to have this extra funding, because that is a growing population in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I know, and Marie giving us a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to put together a story. You know, we try to get, you know, both sides, all sides, but sometimes we just don't get a response by the time we put it together for a 5 o'clock show. But excited to see what it is that you do have for us that we'll see tonight at 5. Marie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Manny.
All right, we'll see you in just a little bit. All right, we are going to be continuing on with Fox 35 News Plus. We're going to head to Brevard County and Esther Bauer. She has a story and she is going to be answering some of those questions about the story of the Disney Dream rescue. The father and daughter who went overboard, rescued last night. Stay with us. Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be back in just a flash.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And what you are looking at is the Disney Dream as it went back into Port Everglades last night after this, a rescue at sea. You take a look at some of the crews as they are working to get to a dad and daughter that went overboard. So let's bring in our reporter, Esther Bauer, who's been working on this story all day today. Esther, you got the chance to speak with somebody who saw it all happen.
Manny, I'll tell you, it feels a little bit weird smiling at this story because you think about a family vacation turning into an absolute nightmare when a father watches his young daughter go overboard. Passengers tell us she first fell about 50 to 60 feet. And then you see dad jumping overboard too, trying to do whatever he could to save his daughter. Passengers on board first told us they really thought they just saw 2 people lose their life in the ocean. They're falling, like we said, 50 to 60 feet into the open sea. Then they saw this cruise ship make a 180. They said they've never seen a ship move faster, get that yellow rescue boat out into the ocean. Father was able to grab his daughter and tread water in the sea, which is not calm by any means, for about 20 minutes as this boat mobilized, and Disney Dreams staff did whatever they could to save both dad and daughter. Happy to report from Disney Cruise Line, they are doing fine. They were brought safely back on the ship. You showed that video. They sailed back into port early morning, and passengers are really just in shock at what they saw. One woman says she literally couldn't even watch what was going on. She just went into her lawn chair and started praying. That's all that she knew to do. But we were sent pictures. Literally, it felt like everyone on this ship was just glued to the balcony watching, not sure how the people were going to be, if they were going to be found, because there are times you're seeing the people and then you're not seeing them. They're literally tiny specks floating into the ocean. And so this is just, I mean, it could have been such a worse situation, but everyone is really crediting this Disney Dream team for how staff mobilized so fast, got dad and daughter, and brought them back safely to shore.
Esther, thank goodness we're not telling a different story. One of the things that I pointed out when we talked about it with Marlisa was, good thing that this happened during the daytime, or at least when there was daylight. It could have been totally different at night. But one of the questions that Marlisa and I had, perhaps you have the answer, a young girl, do we know how old?
We don't know how old. We have one picture of the child coming in on this rescue boat, and she is small. I mean, she is sitting on one of the Disney Cruise Line staff members' laps. So we do think a young child, but as far as age, we're not totally sure.
And, you know, the passengers that you spoke with, you talked about how they were just glued, you know, one of those things where you just can't look away, you know, for better or for worse. Thankfully here, there is a good ending. But what was their feeling? Because that's still taxing emotionally even on them.
Yeah, we spoke with one passenger who said she just burst into tears as soon as she started hearing claps and cheers, and the captain coming over on the ship saying 2 people have gone overboard, but we're bringing 2 people back to shore. So definitely emotions were running very high for passengers on board. And one passenger actually said it took about 2 hours for things to kind of settle down. I mean, you're on vacation, you're on a Disney cruise ship, so there are characters and team members in their costumes, really trying to keep the spirits high because this is the final day of this vacation. But things did kind of shift. It took about 2 hours for things to kind of ramp back up, that lively vacation spirit to be felt. But every parent that we spoke with also said, I just can't imagine what this father was thinking, because if it was my child, I would have done the same thing. I would have jumped into this open ocean trying to save my child. So a lot of the parents that we spoke with just felt so much joy. They felt like it was their own child. They felt like I'd be doing the same thing had their child been the one to go over. But they're also just saying, on vacations, in situations like this where there's so much fun, just really being mindful of where your kids are, what they are doing, always keeping safety just top of mind, because as we discussed, this could have been a much different story.
And right now, unclear is my understanding as to how it even all happened?
Absolutely. We are still working to get more details from Disney Cruise Line. Very not sure how this child went over in the first place. I did speak with one of my cruise sources who says there are barriers all around these ships, about 4 feet tall. So they are in place and they're there to keep people from even being able to go overboard. So we have asked the cruise line if they are looking at cameras, if they're trying to figure out how exactly this child went over.
All right, Esther Bauer on the story for us. We'll see you here coming up in just about 12 minutes, okay?
See you soon.
Thank you for joining us. All right, we are going to charge on with Fox 35 News Plus on this Monday afternoon. It is just 12 minutes until Fox 35 News at 5, which you can watch right here on Fox Local. We will be back with more, including a look at what the Orlando Magic are doing as free agency in the NBA opens up in a little more than an hour. We will be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
We're back with a live look at the Kia Center in Orlando, and that's because tonight is the opening night. The start of NBA free agency kicks off at 6 o'clock, and signings can start on the 6th at noon. The 6th, if I do some quick calendar math, would put us at Sunday. And so the Orlando Magic, a week before they can start making some signings, they have made some cap room. They have some news here when it comes to declining team options on center Mo Wagner and guard Caleb Houston. Mo's option was $11 million. He was in year 4 of 4, or at least next year would have been, and Houston's is $2.1 million. I think I've got him crisscrossed. He was in, next year would be in year 4 of 4, and Mo's option next year would be year 2 of 2. So we spoke with Brandon Kravitz. He is a host at In the Zone on 96.9 The Game, and he also does Orlando Magic radio pregame and postgame coverage. So he was just about the best guy that we could have spoken with about the Magic making some of these moves.
Caleb Houston is somebody that has actually helped to buoy what has been the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA. He's been pretty efficient during his time in Orlando, but just doesn't offer much else. And I still think it's possible that both of these guys are brought back. You mentioned cap flexibility. I think that's exactly why the options were declined on both of these players. It was to give the Magic a chance as the free agency window opens at 6 p.m. tonight. It'll give them a chance to negotiate with some players that they otherwise would not have been able to. It gives those two individuals a chance to test the market, and maybe they're offered more than what the Magic would be willing to give them. But if both sides end up with not anything better than their current situation, I think we're probably looking at a marriage once again between those two players, because I know the Magic are fond of both of them.
And it's something that Mo Wagner knows well because he was in this situation last year.
Yeah, and he's coming off of an injury as well. This is a guy that tore his ACL in the middle of last season, and he was having a career year during that stretch when that went down. The team supported him all the way throughout. His brother's on the squad. I don't think this is a situation that Mo Wagner necessarily wants to leave. And it's certainly not somebody that the Magic want to lose. You know, I don't think it's ever going to show up in the box score just how valuable Mo Wagner actually is to this team. He is an energy provider for this group when they're in the middle of the season going through those lulls where it's just kind of hard to get the juice up. Mo Wagner is the guy that is yelling and clapping in everybody's face and kind of getting the team back into it. The crowd loves him at the Kia Center. And I don't think that that's the kind of guy you want to lose, but a smart, shrewd move by the Magic to at least let him go for now and then see what they can do as far as, because they could still use that money to upgrade in terms of bench piece, another starting or not a starting center, but a backup center for Wendell Carter Jr. Those are all still options. They would not have been options if the team had kept those two on the roster. So this is all about flexibility, not necessarily about moving off of those two players.
Yeah, it seems you're pretty confident on both of them coming back. What would you say if you had to give a percentage?
I think I would have to split it up. I think for Mo Wagner, my percentage would be about 70% he comes back. For Caleb Houston, I think it's closer to, I would say 45% that he returns. I think both still, pretty high on the scale in terms of these being guys that I think the Magic want back, but they have to get better at three-point shooting. And if it takes a couple extra $1 million in order to do that during this free agency period, that's just something that they have to do. And unfortunately, you can only roster about 15 players in the NBA. So this is where tough decisions come, and especially after a draft where you just added 2 new players in Jace Richardson and Noah Penda. So I'll go 70% for Mo, 45% for Caleb Houston.
from what I read, it's 10 of those 15 spots that are locked up right now. And you mentioned the Magic needs some three-point shooting. Who are you going after?
So I am not all that impressed with the free agency list this year. However, this could play into Orlando's hands because the Magic don't have a lot of money to spend as it is right now. And this isn't exactly a sexy list of names. If you wanted to go on the high end, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the guy that you could look at. He really helped the Minnesota Timberwolves in terms of their three-point shooting in the playoffs. Luke Kennard is another name to look at. Shoots 43% from long range. Duncan Robinson just became available from the Miami Heat. I don't have a good read on what exactly he's going to go for out in the open market, but he's definitely somebody the Magic should kick the tires on. He shot 39% last season and has shot exactly that during his NBA career. So very consistent three-point shooter. A point guard that has been tied to the Magic, I think, every year for the last 3 years is a guy by the name of Tyus Jones. He's bounced around the league. He's played for Memphis. He most recently played for the Washington Wizards. He shot 41% over the course of his career from three-point range for last season and 38% over the course of his career. That is really what it's all about. If you're wondering who the Magic should go after, I think it comes down to ideally a guard because you could use some depth at that position, but more than anything else, you need three-point shooting because it's great that this team traded for Desmond Bane, who is one of the better three-point shooters in the NBA. It's great that the team went and drafted Jace Richardson. He's still young. Don't know how many minutes he is going to get. And usually that three-point shot is not one of the first things to come around for young NBA players. They have to add somebody else that can help with the shooting for this basketball team. Otherwise, I just don't think they're going to be able to take the step that we all anticipate them being able to make.
And we know just how important it is to be a good three-point shooting ball club these days.
Oh, I mean, it's everything. You know, you're simply not going to make it to the finish line in the NBA if you can't shoot the three. We've seen it with the two teams that made it to the finals. Oklahoma City, they've got guys all across their roster that they can spray the ball out to. Guys coming off the bench that are shooting 35 to 40% from three-point range, which is really that sweet spot number. And it doesn't have to be your best player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not the most proficient three-point shooter. He's not a high-volume guy from that range, but he can find those open shooters. And I think more than anything else, and Indiana embodied this as well as anybody in the league, every player that's on the floor has to be at least a threat to shoot the three, because that's just the way the game is played in today's NBA. And the Magic have just made life too easy on defenses in not stretching them out. If you can't get opposing defenders out towards the three-point line to guard potential shooters, it creates sort of a log jam in the middle of the court where Paolo and Franz want to operate. So not only is it important for every NBA team to shoot the three ball well, just because of the math behind it, but it's especially important when you have two players, your two best players in Franz and Paolo, that want to score in the paint. If the paint is
And that was Brandon Kravitz, host of In the Zone on 96.9 The Game, joining us this afternoon as we break down what the Magic are in need of as we open NBA free agency in a little over an hour. But in little less than 1 minute, we are looking ahead to Fox 35 News at 5. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox Local. You can keep it right here and tune in to watch Marlisa and Luann. We also have those two stories that we talked about earlier in this show, and that being the Disney rescue, as well as the state budget being signed and the education angle that we have for you. So this is Marlisa and Luann as they get ready. I'll also show you that we have our Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder Truck on the road. We are tracking some showers this evening. We'll see if our driver ends up finding any. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday and starting your week off with us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Right now on Fox 35 News at 5. Oh my gosh. A little girl goes overboard on a Disney cruise. But right behind her,
my son saw all the crew running to the edge.
Her father jumps in after her. How they were able to survive the open sea and make it back to the ship.
Activate off deluge. Activated. Whoa.
That was not supposed to happen. A booster meant for the Artemis mission explodes during a test. Will this set back man's return to the moon?
Florida chomping at the bit.
You literally drive them 2,000 feet, put them on a plane, and then they're gone.
Alligator Alcatraz is about to get its first visitors.
But first, we are tracking the next big thing, a wet 4th of July weekend. We are closely watching this blob on the left here. It's set to bring a lot of rain our way. And on the right is what our radar could look like on Friday. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Bergeron is joining us now. So Noah, how much rain are we talking here?
Yeah, Marlisa, Luann, we think confidently there'll be a lot of spots in Central Florida that get almost a half a foot of rain over the next several days from a really interesting setup that thankfully there's good news, bad news. The good news is we don't have reason to believe there's a hurricane at play. We don't have any reason to even think there's a tropical storm. At most, we think if something developed, it would be a tropical depression. From this outlooked area you see in yellow in either the Gulf Coast or the Atlantic coast over the next several days. So here's the breakdown of what you need to know. The headline here is there's going to be an area of low pressure that tries to form this weekend. Whether it forms over the warm waters of the Gulf, the warm waters of the Atlantic, we will see. If it formed over water and not over land of the Florida Peninsula, it could become tropical depression, certainly, but system or not, probably going to be a lot of rain and storms. That's the headline here from a very tropical air mass that's going to be in place. And the rain over the next several days will be significant, potentially up to 10 inches or a foot of rain on the Gulf Coast and in the Tampa area, and 3 to 6, 4 to 7 inches of rain from many parts of Central Florida, especially later this week. I'll walk you through the Fox model and everything else you need to know coming up in just a few minutes.
Noah, thanks so much. A family vacation turned into a nightmare. A child fell off a cruise ship into the ocean, the father also going overboard. The Disney Cruise Line staff saved them both.
Yeah, that cruise ship was heading back here to Florida when that accident happened. Let's get out to Fox 35's Esther Bauer. She is live in Brevard County. So, Esther, that father actually jumped in to save his little girl.
Luann, that is exactly what he did. And parents we spoke to said they would have done the exact same thing had they watched their child going overboard on a cruise ship. They immediately saw that dad jump into the ocean and then hold on for dear life to his daughter, treading water for quite a bit of time before a rescue boat brought them to safety. This yellow rescue boat pulled the father and little girl to safety after they both went overboard in the ocean.
Just a huge sigh of relief. It could have been a lot worse.
At first, passengers thought it was.
We witnessed somebody lose their life, and it was pretty surreal, like to just know that that was their final moment. And then all of a sudden you see like the Disney Dream team like stepped in.
The Dream Team mobilized in minutes by turning the entire cruise ship around and sending out the rescue boat as fast as possible.
I mean, they spun around and the team was immediate action. I mean, Disney people, I don't even have words. They're miracle workers. They saved that family.
Families watched in horror from the balcony, but still tried to help how they could.
At that point, I just went and got in my lawn chair